Stupid COVID ruined everything, especially here in the office. We have always had remote recruiters here at Atlas for the past 10 years. And some of our very best recruiters don't even live in Omaha or the state of Nebraska, quite honest. Well, okay, one of them does. That's with me today, at least. On this episode, we talked to two of our veteran recruiters who are in Omaha for the first time in actually quite a few months because of everything that's been going on, and just catch up with them and see what's new in their lives. And then I'm going to get their opinion maybe on what's going to be happening in 2022. Atlas All Access starts now. Jana Remengi, Kristen Begman, welcome. Did I get it right? I got it right.
Remegi.
You would think after 5 years, right? Your last name looks nothing like it's pronounced.
It doesn't.
I know, right. But welcome back to Omaha, first off. So,
thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
And give me a quick update. You've both been with us for the same amount of time, right? Weren't you in the same class?
We started on the same day.
That's right.
Yeah, back in
2000, right? 5 years ago?
May 2017.
Wow, 5 years now.
Yeah.
5.
Okay,
That was the best class ever. I'll just say
I mean,
it. No,
arguably,
I'm kidding.
maybe.
I'm kidding.
We may be biased.
Tell me about. Go back in time with me. How was Atlas when you started versus how is it like right now? Like, not only what are the differences, but then as you've kind of grown as recruiters, like how has Atlas changed with you?
Well, we were it was smaller. I mean, for one thing, but the industry itself, I mean, was harder. I feel like it was, there was still a shortage of nurses, but it was still, you kind of felt like it was difficult as a recruiter. I feel like it's gotten a little bit easier, but I think Atlas itself has, remained the same at the core, which is why we're all still here.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, the people are awesome.
Yeah.
It's grown a ton. Gosh, I don't even know what our numbers are compared to then.
A lot compared to when you started. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, the morals are all still there and everybody gets along really great. The atmosphere's good. So it's nice to come into the office because you miss everybody and you miss just that interaction with other people. Working remote, you're home every day by yourself, so it gets a little lonely, a little boring. So
It's quiet.
we text a lot, group texts and calls and Zoom calls.
Sure.
But
I couldn't do it. I need people and
I know.
noise and stuff. Right? But,
it is nice to have people around.
So Jana, you're in Lincoln.
Yep.
Lincoln, Nebraska, and you're not.
I'm in the Black Hills of South Dakota, so
Right.
Rapid City.
Okay, I didn't know if you were in Rapid City specifically, or okay.
Yep.
Interesting. And you've been in Lincoln for a while now.
Yeah, like 20 some years.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long have you been in Rapid City?
We moved there in 2009, so almost 14 years. Is that right?
And you used to live here, didn't you? In Nebraska?
We moved from Omaha, so I had to move away from Omaha to work for Atlas.
To work for an Omaha company.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so in the past, let's just talk about the last 2 years now, because things have changed pretty dramatically, at least in our industry and the job that you guys do every day. Give me one sort of thing that has changed in your job over the past 2 years.
I would say just the amount of nurses reaching out to start traveling. I mean, the rates have gone up so much. The pay has always been good, but working staff and seeing what others are making as travelers, I think has been just more encouraging for people to take that next step to go do. If they've been thinking about it, that money just kind of made that extra boost a little bit more possible.
Sure.
So just a lot more nurses talking to and starting to travel.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of the screening process, the compliance process, like having to worry about if somebody's vaccinated or, if they're, exposed to COVID, like the early stages, we were, so unsure and not knowing what we were doing. I mean, nobody had been through this before. We saw hospitals, we saw kind of their, they didn't know what to do either. And they'd never been through this. And so we kind of saw that side of them that we hadn't seen before. They kind of started to freak out. There was some panicking going on. And so kind of trying to be that calm in the storm that you didn't know when was going to end, and is still there to an extent.
I know it kind of slows down and then the next roll comes through. So it's like the next wave.
Right.
So you're just kind of sitting here waiting on what's going to happen next.
What's going to happen
Nobody
next.
knows.
Right.
Constantly adapting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we learned a lot in 08, 09 when Steve and Kurt and I were doing what you guys are doing as recruiters and client managers. And we learned a lot through that. And we always said we'd be prepared if something like that happened again. Well, something like that kind of happened, and there were times when we thought we weren't prepared at all.
Yeah.
Like we really didn't know, and it was completely different. But I think you're right. Weathering the storm, right? I mean, you just had to believe in where you are and what you were doing, and that you were going to get through it.
And literally take it day by day.
Day by day, right? Yeah.
Because it was constantly changing.
Yes. Yeah.
And still is to a
It kind of still is, right? As you've both been recruiters now for 5 years, what's been the most difficult part of the job? Is there one thing that you can point to and say that was the hardest?
I would say it was the growth. I mean, as wonderful as that's a great problem to have, but we were not quite prepared for how quickly we were going to grow as a company, and trying to adapt to that and make sure that our nurses were where they needed to be and had everything they needed to have, and just kind of, prepare in-house and keeping our internal staff, kind of up, kind of keeping up with them. So I think that's probably been the hardest for me anyway. But it's a good problem to have, like I said.
Yeah, it is. The growth has been like huge, and you always want to make sure that every traveler feels like they're important and that they're getting your full attention. So when you do have, so many people reaching out, you always want to make sure they're taken care of, and finding those next assignments. Sometimes it's been easy to get assignments, but sometimes the hospitals have been kind of slow too lately I don't think they know if they're going to need nurses right now. So it's just kind of wishy-washy a lot right now.
And the delays, like clinics are backed up.
Yes, on compliance. Yeah,
government
drug screens,
offices are
labs.
closed.
Yeah, it's been weird.
So it's taking forever for background checks, and it's very.
Everybody works from home.
Yeah.
There's a whole new set of challenges that maybe we didn't anticipate through that, right? I mean, we anticipated working with hospitals and working through their challenges and working with travelers and through their challenges. What we didn't anticipate was maybe how it affected local and state governments, and especially when it came to licensure, background checks, and then, how does that affect places we go for drug screens and immunizations, and the backups there. And I don't, that if I had to point at something outside of compliance in general has become very, very difficult. Not that it was simple before, it wasn't. But if I had to point to one thing, it's those challenges within the places we didn't even see coming.
Yeah. The uncontrollables.
Absolutely.
And that's really hard as recruiters when we're talking to our nurses and we're working with them, and that relationship is unique already. We there's stuff that's out of our hands and we can't do anything about it, and that's really hard to have to kind of make those tough phone calls about being pushed, or the clinic lost your test results, and we've seen more of that in the last year, I would say.
Well, when everyone down the way does everything right, you as a recruiter does everything right, client manager does everything right, hospital does everything right, traveler does everything right, and it still gets pushed.
Yeah.
That's tough. Okay, so then let's talk about something fun. What's the best part? Like, what's the most rewarding part of being a recruiter?
You go first.
I would say just getting to know all your nurses and the different personalities that you meet. Like, it's insane how many different personalities you work with. And just getting to know them, their families. Like, I talk to some of their families. Like, it's just, I don't know. And living their travel life through them, because I'm stuck in Lincoln, Nebraska. So it's like, send me pictures, send me videos. It's so fun to see where they're at and what they're doing and their adventures, and just seeing their, when they send me a picture and they're like, you helped make this possible. Yeah. Like, this is what I wanted out of life. And just knowing that and how happy they are is truly awesome. Gives you goosebumps.
It is, yeah. I think that's the number one. Just the relationships. Some of my nurses have like known them for 3-4 years,
Right.
And they are so just grateful. They're wonderful people. I couldn't be more blessed to know this team of people. I just think that's the coolest thing ever. And some of them I've met in person, and some of them I haven't. And you still have this really cool relationship with them. It's based on trust, because it has to be. I mean, you're not right there face to face. So I think that, I mean, I have some that just come through the Black Hills. I mean, I'm not stuck in Lincoln like Jana is. So.
I said the wrong word. I'm not really stuck. But
Lincoln's a fine place. There's nothing wrong.
There's just no mountains. Or,
Okay. You're right.
kinda
You're right. The scenery
flat.
in the Black Hills is much nicer than Omaha, Lincoln area.
I like to think that they come through to see me, but Mount Rushmore, it's fine too.
Right.
So yeah, being able to do that, and they stay at my house. Like I have travelers that come and stay at my house, and they know my kids, and they've become staples in my life. So that is really, really special. And the other really cool thing is the people at Atlas, the internal people. And I'm so grateful for having the opportunity to do what we do.
Yeah.
I talk about that a lot at personal relationship. There's a little segment I do at the end of these now called Just My Opinion. And it has come up multiple times. Like the relationship between the recruiter and their traveler is so vital. Like it's just, and the personal connection that you have with that other person that's away from home doing that job that is not easy to do at all is key to not only their success, but it's key to your success as a recruiter too, right? If you didn't have that connection, what are you doing? I mean, then you're unloading boxes off a truck or something, right? I mean, it's just, it's not that you have to have that personal connection. And
I love people. I don't, that sounds so weird, but that is truly what makes it work, is I like getting to know people. I like having that relationship. Like that's really special.
Yeah.
And I think just knowing that they could reach out to us whenever, not just 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, like we're there whenever they need us. I mean, with just the relationships we have.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're there for us too.
That is true.
I've heard that a lot lately, actually. So and that warms my heart. Like that's just like, okay, it's working. Like it's working. We've talked about this for 10 years, and it's working. So
it is working. So you guys know. I mean, my father-in-law passed away in the fall, and I was overwhelmed with the support and just the outreach of each of my nurses. Like they were just amazing, and they were so patient, and they were so supportive and loving, and sent flowers and gift cards, and I was blown away. It was it's so unique. It's amazing.
Yeah. So now let's transition into industry news. Only one piece of industry news this week, and I'm not going to dwell on it too long because it sounds like I'm talking about myself. But the last 2 weeks ago, yeah, Nathan's saying yes. 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we announced we had the highway hypodermics list. We made the SIA list, and there was one piece that we couldn't release because it was embargoed, and I couldn't release it until they released it. I made the staffing 100 list from SIA. So. First time I ever made it, Steve Ryan, our president, has been on twice, I believe. And here's what I'm proud of. I'm the only chief marketing officer that's on that list this year. Everyone else is, president, CEO, whatever. There's a couple of chief operating officers. It goes back to what we believe in really deeply here as a company, and putting the people first, and doing things like this, and being able to talk directly to you, not only when things like this happen, but when we can talk to, we talk to our recruiters directly, and you talk to them directly. Like it's important, like I've said 1,000 times, to have that personal connection. So I'm super proud of that. Having that distinction as being the only one on the marketing side to be on the list this year.
That's
So,
awesome. Congratulations.
That is
It's,
really
it's
cool.
super fun. Yeah, it's super fun.
That's cool.
And here's what's even better. I'm the only one out of all of those guys on there that's wearing a hat in the picture. Yeah. Or
They didn't
not,
ask for a shot without one.
No, they said ask for an 8x10. They asked for a ask for a photo, and so
That's funny.
So they go. I actually think it's in this right here, and I'm the only one wearing a hoodie. So
You dressed up for it.
47-year-old dude wearing a hat and a hoodie and on a list like
It works.
that. It
worked,
totally
though.
works. Yeah,
It's
you're
you.
right.
That's
Yeah.
all.
So that brings me to just my opinion. All right, normally this is where I spout out, whatever I believe, and there you go. But I want to know what you two believe here. So 2020 was what it was. We thought things were going to get better in 21,
Right.
and it didn't. What do you think we're going to get out of 22? At least from our industry. What do you think is going to happen this year?
Gosh. Just from the looks of like what's going on right now, I feel like things are kind of winding down. But who knows when the next variant's going to come?
Right.
Or I don't know. I hate to say anything and curse it. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
We'll blame you. if
I
something
know,
bad
literally. You're
happens.
like,
James.
remember what you said? Yeah. It's so hard to say.
Right.
It's like you literally don't want to curse it because everybody was 2021. We're like, this is going to be better than 2020, and then
We're going
was.
to concerts again.
Yeah.
We're going to baseball games, and then
Yep.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm an optimist anyway, but
I'm like the opposite. I'm like the Debbie Downer over here. I don't want to say too much.
That's why we're friends. We balance each other out.
Right.
I read an interesting article the other day, and it was about how England, they've lifted all their mandates, and they have decided that they are moving forward. They're living with COVID. Like this is part of our life. This is part of our world. This is what we, it's not being categorized as a pandemic anymore.
Right.
And so I actually kind of like that. I agree with that. I think that is something that nurses, especially who adapt quicker and fast, just better than anybody I know. That's what we have to do. We have to adapt. We have to move forward and figure out how to do it. And so I think that's kind of where we're at. I think bill rates will stay up to a point. I don't think they're always going to be like this crisis crazy because we are kind of getting out of a crisis mode
Right.
when in relation to COVID. The shortage is not going away. We're still seeing a high, we're very short nurses in general.
Yeah.
But,
Tons of jobs out there. It's just
so
the rates will probably normalize a little bit. I don't think they'll ever be pre-COVID rates. I mean,
Right.
but
No,
I don't think
believe
they're
so
going
either.
to continue to be crisis rates.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I don't believe so either. I think we'll see at 10 to 20% higher than
Yeah.
like pre-COVID rates kind of being the norm again. And look, we live with flu season every year, right? And I believe this is kind of the cycle we'll live with COVID as well, right?
Yeah.
We'll continue to go through the vaccination process or the booster process every year, just like we go through flu season and we flu shots every year and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's just become part of not only our staffing lives, but then our lives in general.
right.
I think it'll be interesting to see.
It's
Yes.
interesting too because you talk to nurses out in California and they have a completely different experience than somebody who works in South Dakota, for example.
Yeah.
Just what they've experienced through it. So it's very interesting. So that's kind of, you have to tailor your conversation with people depending on kind of where they're at and what they're used to. But to move forward, I think we have no other choice. We have to move forward.
We have to.
I know we've put our lives on hold for 2 years now.
Right.
I mean, like
Right.
it's time to adjust.
Yeah. Well, and I think we, for good reason, obviously, and we did the best that we could going through all of that. But yeah, just learning to live with it and moving on. And us being an active part, Atlas and being in the staffing industry, being an active part, it gives me some hope that there is a bright side. There is something on the other end of it. And that we are, even though we're just sitting in an office here, making a difference, trying to get back to whatever normal is.
The
or
new
going to be.
normal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whatever that might be.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Okay. Kristen, Jana, thank you so much. It was so good to see you. I'm so
Yes,
I was so
you too.
happy when I heard you were coming to town. So
I know.
We
It's
always
nice
have
to see
fun.
everybody's faces.
yeah, next time bring Misty and Colleen with
I
you.
know.
We
Right.
will.
They
They're
were
sad
bummed
they can't be here.
missed.
I
I know.
Hopefully Christmas party this year. We'll get back to that again.
Right? That would be fun.
So,
We're there.
All right. Thank you both again. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And we'll see you next week.